This is Bang and Blame by the greatest band of all time, in my opinion, REM, my favorite band anyway. This is from their Monster album, which was after their big hit, Out of Time, and I still think their best album, Automatic for the People. This one came out after that one, Monster. This one gave them a chance to get back and rock out a little bit. And this is actually one of my favorite songs from it, so I figure it's a good beginning to a new episode of Dylan Knows. So that's enough of that before I get in any trouble. So that's what's going on right now. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 262, The Fall of Man. Now, I know a lot of people are going to probably look at that and go, does this have something to do with what was going on this week in the world of politics? And I'm like, yeah, no, not really. I just, one of the stories I'm going to cover today has a very interesting angle, meaning, something is going to happen with men. In fact, men are going to be disappearing very soon. Astronomically, we'll talk about that in a little bit. A whole bunch of other stuff going on this week. There's a ton of stuff. I've been keeping track of some stuff all week, but then when I sit down, usually on Saturday morning, and tabulate everything and write everything down I'm going to, I'm looking at this guy. I got 3.5 pages of stories. And that's normally not what I have to do. And there's some really weird ones this week. Weirder than usual, and some really interesting ones. And it's just, that's why I have so many, because there's so many really interesting things. There's some death that I want to talk about, some anniversaries I want to talk about. Baltimore Comic-Con is this week, some farewells. Did Lindsay Lohan actually do what we think she did? Did that dude at the Red Sox game actually do what we think he did? Sex dolls and a sex robot brothel? What the hell is going on in the world? Someone is released from the hospital after overdosing on Cheetos? What? What in the world? The fall of man, the end of man coming sooner than later. A cottage made out of chocolate. Cats are actually nice. Some weird outer space stuff. And you know what else is kind of weird? There's some weird shit shooting out of the snow in Antarctica. We don't know what's going on. Tom Hanks is in the news again. And 2 really absolutely disgusting food items that I almost lost friends over on Facebook. Not really, it was just more of a joke. It's Just Dunkin'. Arby's makes a big move. Man discovers something new and interesting in the world. Man also tries to deface a national monument. What else have I got? Live Mario Kart. Why does the Earth wobble? Human-animal hybrids? What the hell is going on here? Well, all that's going to be covered this week. Thank you, Patrick, for your retweet. So we got a whole bunch of stuff. So that's just the tip of the iceberg about what's coming. So hopefully that's enticed some of you to stick around, because there's some really wild and weird stuff this week. And we're going to start off real quick. Let's do this Lindsay Lohan story. I didn't even know about this story until this week. Not this week, today, actually. I saw her name was trending yesterday, and I didn't know exactly why. And to be honest, I don't care, because who cares about her? The last time I talked about Lindsay Lohan might have been a week or so ago, when she put out a tweet hoping that John McCain gets better from death. That's besides the point. This is something even worse. Apparently there is video out there showing Lindsay Lohan attempting to steal an immigrant child from 2 homeless immigrants. That's some serious shit. And there's something seriously wrong with people when they're trying to kidnap other people's children. I mean, I can understand maybe if you I can't even understand that. If you think you're doing a good thing by taking a baby, a child from its mother and father who are homeless and trying to give it a better living, is that maybe what she was trying to do? In the end, it really it doesn't. If you want to help them out, you don't take their child. You take all of them and you help. If you're going to bring back to your mansion or whatever you have from the money you made from the late early 2000s, late 90s. And if that's what you're going to do, then take the whole family. Don't just take the baby. I don't know if it was altruistic or she was just crazy. I don't know. It's a bizarre story and a week of bizarre stories. And I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know. And I guess we're not really going to know the full story, the details of it. I guess it's an ongoing story because I just found out about it today. And I think it's something that started yesterday. Just weird. Again, the beginning of a really weird week in the news. Despite, forgetting all the stuff that's political, which is pissing me off enough as it is, there's just some crazy stuff. Another crazy thing, Deadpool, the whole thing about Deadpool, the movie, being so outlandish and so crazy and being a rated R, and that's exactly what Deadpool is, and that we're not going to milk it down and water it down for kids so kids can come watch Deadpool. Well, now they're going to release a PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2 in the movie theaters. And I'm not exactly sure where this is coming from. Now, I guess maybe if you think you want to make a little extra money on the side about it, sure. But you know what? It's tantamount to censorship, maybe somewhat. Not really, I guess, because it's being done with the full approval of, I guess, Ryan Reynolds and the director. But it's just a PG-13 Deadpool 2 recut. I am not so sure about that. That's the reason why you see Deadpool. You want to see the rated R-ness. You want to see the crazy humor and the sexual innuendos and the language and the violence. You want to see all that to kowtow so that some young kids can get a chance to see a superhero that they might like or they hear about. No, sir, I don't like it. Patrick Smith, who is watching, hello, Patrick, says Lindsay Lohan is just a hack. So yeah, she is. It's a weird story. That's a weird story. So there's that. I'm going to be switching gears all over the place because I just saw this one and it connects to something else. Science. Now, science rules. This is part science. There's some more science coming up later in the show. Glowing blue clouds have been discovered. Glowing blue clouds have been discovered in the upper Earth atmosphere. Something that I'll probably never see because, hey, Pinky's on too. Hey, Pinky, what's up? Yeah, we'll be talking about 2018 for a really long time. Absolutely, you're right. Thanks, Lorelei. Lorelei says, hope you have another awesome show, and wants to thank Pat for the heads up. So yes, thank you, Pat. Glowing blue clouds in the upper Earth atmosphere. Earth is continually surprising us with all their interesting stuff. And this is the newest thing that they discovered, glowing blue. I mean, I guess there's a combination, I suppose, of some sort of, we see the Aurora Borealis. Maybe there's some sort of connection to that as well. But, science is brilliant. Science is good. We'll do another Earth story, and then we'll do another glowing story. The Earth is wobbling. It is wobbling more so than it's supposed to, usually does. It's due to a couple of reasons. One is the amount of ice and and stuff that's been melting due to climate change, stuff like that, has been, bulking up the planet a little bit, making it a little bit heavier than we're used to. And also humans building towers, stuff like that, building things up like that is all, this is all from science, is all connected to Earth wobbling a little bit more than it's supposed to. So we'll keep an eye out on that as well. Man discovers Uperlites, which are glowing rocks. He found these rocks that are glowing in his yard. Now, it's not like radiation glowing or whatever. It's just a bizarre creation of the Earth that no one's really ever seen until this guy has, and they had a picture of it on Facebook of glowing rocks. Much similar, I guess, to the what was it, the redstone or the glowstone in Minecraft. So I guess maybe there's some sort of correlation to that as well. So that's a interesting aspect as well. And what was there anything? Oh, the Antarctica story. Since we're all connected, we're all in the same location. Antarctic. Oh no, that's the farm. Where's the other? There's a couple of Antarctic stories, so we'll do that. There was an Antarctic greenhouse. So someone built a greenhouse in Antarctica and was able to successfully grow cucumbers, tomatoes, and carrots within this greenhouse on Antarctica. And it's a good sign because it means that there's a possibility that with the way the temperature is in Antarctica, that we're able to grow this type of stuff, granted in a greenhouse. If we create a greenhouse of some sort on Mars, maybe there's potential that we can grow that as well. Things on Mars as well. Now, where is that other Antarctica story? I've got a whole bunch of things right here. Oh, yeah, here we go. Bizarre particles keep flying out of Antarctica's ice, and they make a. It could be changing modern physics. There apparently are cosmic rays have been discovered shooting out of the Antarctic ice, and no one really knows why the situation is happening. So all kinds of crazy, weird stuff happening in the world of science. Glowing blue gas and green gas, and Hondo hasn't mentioned Uranus yet. There's supposed to be hidden tech on Antarctica too. People screaming for full disclosure instead of secret projects. So possible, all kinds of stuff going on over there too. But it's an interesting place, and it's been getting a lot more play recently, which is good because Antarctica is an actually pretty interesting place to go to. I mean, you don't want to really, I mean, it's not really a place you want to visit all that often because it's so cold, but they're in their spring right now, so it's getting cool, it's getting warmer for Antarctica. The sun's going to be out a little bit more, so huzzah for that. And the penguins are going to be reunited with their family now, and they're going to have new baby penguins around, so huzzah on that. There's some more science coming up, but right now I've just got a lot of stuff I got to cover right here. This is kind of interesting. This is kind of funny. And I got I'm gonna go to Facebook on this because I want to give you the full disclosure on it. October 1st is coming quickly. October 1st is on Monday, and Hasbro, who has been known to make a lot of your most popular board games, has decided that board games have gotten huge in popularity again, and because adults who grew up as kids playing board games are now wanting to play more grown-up board games. That's why you've got all the different Cards Against Humanity and stuff like that. But to add a little extra, because this is this new business model, is like, you know what, we're making a lot of money on these games. Let's change some stuff up with some of our classic games and make them more adult-oriented, and we can call them parody games. And this is not a fake story. This is a real games that will be out in Target starting on October 1st, just in time for Christmas. And actually, there's a ton there's 5 of them right now, and I think I might be getting some of these up for Dawn because they're interesting. The first one is Clue: What Happened Last Night? Lost in Las Vegas parody edition. Basically, it's taking the movie, the one, what is that one? The Hangover. about the three guys who go on a bachelor party in Las Vegas, and they wake up the next morning and all this weird stuff is going on, and they have to backtrack and figure out what happened. Basically, that's what's happening with this game. Let's see if I can read the description of it right here. Let's see. Okay. 7 friends reunite for a weekend in Vegas, but someone had a little too much fun. Only 6 of you wake up in a disheveled hotel room on Sunday morning. Buddy is missing, and it's up to the players to figure out who was the last person to see him, where they left him, and what they were doing. Eliminate the suspects and discover the who, where, and what to solve the mystery. Buddy could have been with handsome Jack Violet, charismatic Ava Carmine, forgetful Nathan Jade, or someone else entirely. The first player to solve the mystery before time runs out wins. So instead of it being trying to figure out who was murdered, try to figure out where you left your friend. So it's more of a grown-up again, blackout drunk party stuff, and who knows, what the rooms are, because they show some of the pictures of it. But these are, as I said, this is not fake news. These are actual games that will be out on October 1st at Target. And so it's basically, I said, the Hangover movie. Next up, game number 2 is The Game of Life Quarter Life Crisis parody. The description is players will move around the board earning and losing money as they race to be the first to pay off their $500,000 soul-crushing debt. In this hilarious adult twist on the classic Game of Life games, players will pay the consequences of outrageous and all too familiar situations, such as finding a photo of grandpa's toe fungus, dropping your phone in the toilet, or calling in sick to binge watch TV. You might even get a new job or a botched tattoo. So the first player to find relief from their crippling debt wins. So again, another fun little adult parody game to play, a new edition like that. There's some really others, and we're just touching the iceberg. The next one is Mystery Date Catfished parody edition. Everyone knows Mystery Date, but this one brings it into the digital age by picking, swapping, and collecting the hilarious trait and action cards. Players will wade through a sea of weirdos as they search for love in the dubious world of online dating. When it's time to open the door on the game board, players will be introduced to the companion and dating scenario of their dreams. But watch out, just like in real life, they just might get catfished instead. So again, I've never played Mystery Date. I've heard about it, but that one might actually be kind of fun. For grown-ups particularly also. Next up, we have this. I love this one. Botched Operation. You all know Operation. This is Botched Operation. The description: there is a laughing gas leak in the operating room, and the doctors are feeling a little buzzed. In this adult twist on the iconic Operation game, players are the doctor and will use the tweezers to remove silly ailments from Cavity Sam. But this time, they'll have to do it while performing the stunt shown on the challenge card. The card might say to remove parts without using your thumbs or while getting tickled. Obviously, if the tweezers touch the side of the openings, the buzzer will sound. The player to get the most parts without getting buzzed before the timer runs out wins. So it's going to be more interactive. So instead of just being one person trying to get the funny bone out or whatever, you're going to have to do it without your thumb, or while you're trying to do it, someone's going to come to you and go, tickle, 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 or blah, 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 that type of stuff. And that's really kind of funny. The next one, this is actually the last one, is Sorry Not Sorry. Description: secret confessions, no regrets. In this adult party version of the classic Sorry board game, players will move their pawn around the Sorry Not Sorry game board as they aim to be the first player to get 3 pawns on the home space. But there's a catch. In this race around the board, players can sabotage their friends, steal their pawns, and use the Not Sorry cards to expose their wildest have you ever secrets. It sure line up any party. So it seems like it's going to be more interactive than the regular game of Sorry. So all these games that I just mentioned will be available October 1st at Target. And I swear to God, I'm probably going to buy all of them because I like the sound of every single one of those. So Christmas present time, right? Everybody knows what's going on. So here's to Christmas coming. Gotten lots of viewers, so thank you all for watching. I got 4 now. Thank you. It's exciting time here on Dylan Knows. Yep, gotten all kinds of information. Baby penguins, clue game. Yep, Holly's jumping in here. Lorelei's here. Grandpa's toe fungus. Parody games. I want Sorry Not Sorry. That's what Pinky wants. Yeah, I want all of them. So fantastic. So I love this idea. I love everything about this, and I am stoked to see it. I'm also interested. This isn't really a parody game, but it came out a while ago, and I mentioned on my show a while ago. But has any of you out there played DOS? You all know Uno, but the same people create a game called DOS, and I'm just wondering if any of you out there have played that before. That's another one that's intrigued me a little bit. I think I might pick that one up also, maybe for Christmas for somebody, not necessarily my wife, but for somebody. So if you know about it, let me know. It sounds like a really neat idea. Kind of a sad story here. Saving pets without a permit. A man has been arrested for helping animals survive Hurricane Florence. Now, I don't know the full disclosure of the story or the situation, but someone trying to save animals during the hurricane has been arrested for trying to save animals. And there's something not right about that. And hopefully, whatever law it is, if there is a law, whatever it is, they can maybe take a look at the exception and help out about that. Haven't tried DOS. Okay, yeah, Pinky hasn't tried DOS yet. So there's that. Indiana locals are upset about Satanists picking up garbage on the highway. I just thought that was a really neat a really neat headline anyway. The Church of Satan has adopted a highway in Indiana. And basically, if when you're driving around the highway and you see these signs, such and so has adopted this highway. Their job basically is, for the stretch that they've adopted, they have free advertising for whatever, and they just have to keep maintenance on, not like the roads, that's the city, the state, that they do that, but they have to keep stuff clean and trash and stuff like that, because that's why it's free advertising. But the reason why they're letting you do it is because you said you were going to go and you were going to help clean up this area. So it's kind of a good thing. And to be honest, anyone really should be allowed to adopt a highway if they want to. I mean, it's still a free country, but I can understand maybe why some people got upset about that. Also, on a sad note, the band Kiss has announced a farewell tour. They will be farewell touring, and then they'll be retiring because, let's face it, they're kind of old. But so the Rolling Stones. I mean, they probably should have. It's a Jehovah's Witness you need to watch out for. Thanks, Pinky. I mean, it's not really up to me to determine who gets, when they should retire. And, at least, they have an idea. Hey, you know what? I'm retiring. It feels like a good time to retire. So Kiss is retiring. They're doing a farewell tour. So, if you want to see Kiss in concert one last time and you're a fan, you might want to look into buying tickets if they're even going to come near your area. I don't even know what their schedule is. I just saw the stories like, okay, Kiss has been around for a long time, and it's getting ready to say goodbye to that. For those who came on early, I played a song from REM, which is my favorite band, and I'm always going to remember this. In 2011 was the year that 2011, 2012. Oh, I'm sorry, not 2011, 2009. Excuse me. 2009, 2010 was around the time that REM decided to call it a day, and they retired from the world of music. And I remember in 2009 they were going on tour. Now, this is before that they announced that they were going to retire, so no one knew they were going to retire, but in the end, I wanted to go to the concert because they were playing at Merriweather, which is right over in Columbia. Now, at this time, Dawn was 10 months pregnant with, not 10 months, that's too much, 7 months pregnant with Noah. So they were coming to Merriweather sometime in mid-June, right around my birthday. And so I asked her, for my birthday, I'd like to go see the band. There was some miscommunication or whatever, and she didn't get me tickets for the concert, which was fine. I understand it was miscommunication. She's pregnant, for God's sakes. It's fine. I understand completely. But then found out later on that year or the next year that that was their last concert. They weren't going on tour, their last tour. They weren't going on tour again. So I could have gone to my first ever REM concert. It would have been their last one. At the time, I didn't know it would be. So I'm kind of disappointed that I missed their farewell tour there. But in the end, nobody's fault. It happens, and it's so far in the past now that my son's now 9 years old. So sad news from the comic world, because I'm a comic book guy. Norm Breyfogle, one of the absolute best Batman artists of the 1990s, has passed away at the age of 58. That's still really young. I don't know the exact extent of his the reason for his death, but I'm gonna see if I can draw up a picture of this. He drew one of the most iconic versions of Batman that I have ever seen in my life, and it was my Batman. He was my Batman guy, and he was the one who really got me into Batman. Let's see if I can find it. Here's a really good one. This is like one of the covers he did. It's a very iconic Batman, and him and Alan Grant on their run on Detective is one of my absolute favorites. Here's another really good cover. Yes, Patrick, I misspoke. 10 months pregnant. It seemed like, I guess he was late, but that's besides the point. That's another really good iconic picture of that Norm Breyfogle. So he was my Batman artist. I mean, he was the one that, around that time I was reading Detective pretty regularly. Batman too, kind of, but I always liked Detective better than Batman. And that could have been because of Alan Grant writing it and Norm's artwork. And he was the guy that was consistent. No fill-in artists. He probably did a span of like maybe 30 or 40 issues without a fill-in. And you need a fill-in for a break here and there, but he didn't. He just did it all. So kind of a shame. Thank you, Dawn. Kind of a shame about that. And on top of that, Baltimore Comic-Con, one more day. If you did not go, it's probably too late for you to come down to Baltimore area, but maybe not. If you're not too far away, Baltimore Comic-Con has one more day tomorrow at the Baltimore Convention Center. It is one of the greatest conventions of the comic world, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a homer. I'm saying it because if you ask any of the current popular artists and writers to say what are your top 5 favorite conventions, they'll always say like a San Diego or New York or Heroes Con or whatever, but they're also going to say Baltimore Comic-Con is one of their favorites also. So this is the last day is tomorrow for this. They had some media guests there. They might still be there today. Will Wheaton, Sherilyn Fenn, Mike Coulter, Zachary Levi, Katrina Law, Aaron Gray. They were all there doing Trisha Helfer are all in town now for the con. So some good stuff there. And then there's lots of creators, lots of artists, lots of writers. And if you like comics, a lot of stuff to come down and buy. Yay, Patrick Smith has me on his big screen. Hi, Patrick. Fantastic. So Baltimore Comic-Con, one more day. Next year, I think it's in October, because the guy who runs it owns my comic store that I go to, my local comic store, which is literally like 5 minutes from my house. And I've known him since I worked at Diamond in 2003-ish. So I've known him for a while. So he runs the Baltimore Comic-Con. It's in like its 20th year or close to it. So it's been running around for a really long time. So congratulations to that. It's always successful, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I can't wait to hear how many people they had there this weekend. I don't keep track of those, obviously. It just seems like there's always a lot of people. So Baltimore Comic-Con last day is tomorrow, Sunday, the 30th of September, which coincidentally enough is the end of the third quarter of 2018. That's right. October 1st starts on Monday, is the beginning of the final quarter of 2018. Now, I know this because where I work, I used to work in the production side of my uniform company. I'm working on the warehouse side now. we would always do quarterly bonuses for the embroidery people. And I get a quarterly bonus. Actually, I'll be getting my quarterly bonus on my paycheck next week. Yeah. So we get quarterly bonuses, obviously, for quarters, end of the quarter. So quarter ends technically it ended on Friday since we're off Saturday and Sunday. So new quarter begins October 1st. So here's to the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter. We're in the tail end, the 3 months left of the year. 2019 is in the distance and 2018 is way behind us. So I'm entering probably my absolute favorite month of the year, October. Just absolutely love the month in general because I'm a huge fall guy, autumn guy, whatever you want to call it. Love autumn. As you all know who've watched the show, you know how much I love the fall. October is perfect here in Baltimore. When the weather's not topsy-turvy like it's been this year, we get 50s, 60s, 70s, bright blue skies. The leaves start changing color, gorgeous. It's going to be kind of muted this year because we had a lot of rain this summer. So the leaves are just like, oh man, we got plenty of stuff. We're going to be okay for a while. So you're probably not going to see any colors. We'll see some colors. There's still some out there now, but you're not going to see the really bright, vibrant colors that you usually see. You need to have a year where it's not as much rain as we've had. And we have had a ton of rain, so their colors are going to be muted, which they're still going to look nice. Football's in full swing. Halloween is coming up. Apple cider, candy, pumpkin, spice, everything. Just wonderful, cool weather. I love October. And another reason why I love October is October 4th, which will be Thursday, will be Dawn and I's 15th wedding anniversary. Now, I bring that up because, yes, that's later this week. But today, September 29th, is the 18th anniversary of our first date. We went on our first date back in September 29th, 2000. We stayed at her house and we watched her favorite movie, which is The Pirate Movie, which is a great movie, by the way. If the late night movie crowd ever gets a chance to, I don't think it's on YouTube, or if it is, I think you have to pay for it. But still, if you want a really great, funny film that you can snark to death, The Pirate Movie is what it is. It's a 80s pop version of The Pirates of Penzance with Christopher Atkins, who was in The Blue Lagoon, and Christy McNichol. And it is one of the absolute funniest, laugh out loud funniest movies of all time. Great 80s pop score, some good 80s pop songs, and just some really goofy pop culture references and stuff like that. So we watched that movie. And also, yes, thank you, Patrick Smith. Just to mention, Monday, October 1st is my 3rd month sober. Also, 90th day today, but Monday is my 13th week. So congratulations to you, Patrick, and 3rd full calendar month. So fantastic on that job, Patrick, for your sobriety. So good job on that. So 3 months for that. So there you go. Another reason why October is great. But so today was our anniversary of first date, and then on the 30th, on September 30th, 2000, we actually went out with her friend Vanessa, set us up, and we went out bowling and out to dinner at Olive Garden, I believe, that night as well. And from that point on, we hadn't looked back. So anniversary of our date, 18 years. I'm doing this show. She's upstairs looking on her phone, and we wouldn't have it any other way. As I said, our anniversary is on October 4th, Thursday. Let's see. I doubt she's watching. I think she was responding to someone tagging her on the internet, but got her tickets to go see the Book of Mormon, which will be coming to the Hippodrome in April. We're going to do one of those things that we did a few years ago. I did for her birthday, where we went to see the musical version of The Bodyguard, and then we got a hotel room downtown in Baltimore, right on the harbor. Went out to dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse. I'm going to do something similar. I don't think I'm going to go back to that hotel because it was a little bit more than I want to spend. But it was special for her birthday. There's plenty of really nice hotel rooms downtown. In fact, I kind of want to stay we have a high rise one. I like to say maybe at the top of one of those, like that overlooks Camden Yards. I think that'd be kind of neat, but we'll see. I might go back to that other one too. I'll just have to look at pricing and stuff like that. So it's nice. So that's the plan. So April 6th, I think, is when we're going to do that. It's a Saturday. We've seen the Book of Mormon together before. She absolutely loves it, and it's coming back for only about a week in Baltimore. So we're going to do that. Now I have to think about how I'm going to afford tickets to go see Hamilton when the touring group comes in June of next year. So the tickets right now are way more expensive than they are for the Book of Mormon. So we'll see what happens. So she's going to get that surprise on Thursday. I already bought the tickets. I just need to have the printout. I'll give to her. Say, this is what we're doing. And then by then I'll have the hotel set up and what restaurant we're going to go to. I want to do something different. I don't want to keep doing the same thing. Hey, let's do this again. There's lots of restaurants downtown also we're going to hit as well. So that's good. So 15 years wedding anniversary on the 4th of October and our 18th anniversary of our first date. So Dawn and I have been together in a dating capacity for 18 years today. Obviously, longest relationship I've ever had, and it's created 2 kids and a house and a cat. So here's to me and my wife, obviously. This weekend coming up, not this one right now, but October 6th, October 7th, there's some crazy stuff going on TV-wise. October 6th, the new Star Wars cartoon is going to be coming out. This one is a little bit different because the Clone Wars cartoon took place, obviously, between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and has gotten a lot of critical acclaim, as it should be, because it is one of the best cartoons out there. And then Rebels, which was the new one that just came out, takes place after Revenge of the Sith and before A New Hope. So there's sort of a window right there. So now this new one is called Resistance, I think, and it takes place before Force Awakens. So you're going to see Poe Dameron, and you're going to see BB-8, and you're going to see all the stuff that lids up. So you're going to be more in the contemporary Star Wars movie era. The arc, again, like they tried to make every cartoon a little bit different. This one is a different style of cartoons as well. Animation looks good. That's going to be on Disney XD, I believe, on Saturday, the 6th of October. That's when I think I'm going to try to get on the ground floor. I've always missed out on Clone Wars and Rebels. I've had to go back and get the DVDs of them to try to watch those. Maybe I'll try to get on the ground floor of this one. Tomorrow, this isn't connected to next weekend, but tomorrow, Marvel Superheroes Secret Warriors comes out on Disney XD. I mention that because my daughter absolutely loves Squirrel Girl, one of the best characters out there. And she's on this cartoon along with Miss Marvel and America, which is a superhero, and Lockjaw and a few other things as well. So doing a full movie tomorrow night. Now, it's at 10 o'clock. I might have to go back in and change the time of the recording because the Ravens play tomorrow night. The biggest, one of the best NFL rivalries, the Ravens and Steelers, is tomorrow night, Sunday Night Football. So it'll be still going on when that comes on. Yep. 2 kids, a house, and a cat. Great sitcom title. Yes, it is. My life is a sitcom. No, it isn't. It's great. But October 7th is the big one for us sci-fi fans. Doctor Who, the new Doctor, debuts next Sunday. They're doing a worldwide premiere. It's going to be prime time in England. It's going to be at 1:45 p.m. on BBC America here in America because they want to simulcast it at the same time. So on Sunday the 7th, it's the introduction of Jodie Whittaker as the new Doctor, the 13th Doctor, the first female one. It's basically kind of like a light reboot of the series because the showrunner and a lot of the writers, and it's a new Doctor, the old showrunner and the writers have gone off the show, and we have a new showrunner and a new series of writers and a new Doctor and new companions and new stuff. They're going to be so new that they're not going to have any of the classic Doctor Who villains in this first season with Jodie Whittaker. They're going to introduce all brand new villains, and then they'll reintroduce the Daleks and Cybermen and all that later on in the later seasons. But it's great. I'm excited because It's a female doctor, which is a first. It is basically kind of a light reboot. So Dawn and I have started watching The Doctor way back when. We got through all of 9 and about halfway through 10, and that's when we kind of stopped, and we haven't seen the rest of 10 or 11 or 12. So we're going to be able to start over fresh here. We're going to try to get Noelle and maybe even Noah interested in it as well, because it is a female doctor. Noelle might be more interested in it than Noah might be. So we're going to do that as well. But what's really cool is that there was, I guess the BBC was doing commercials, getting fans of Doctor Who to come in and say how much, hey, we can't wait to see you, Jodie. It's going to be a great season, and how much they love Doctor Who and Jodie Whittaker's role in it. So they were filming this on a set, and Jodie Whittaker happened to be backstage and watching these. So she came out and visited everybody during the filming of their commercial and get their responses on that. So that's kind of a neat surprise. So good on you, Jodie, and the Doctor will be back next Sunday. Now, also, fans of The Walking Dead will be coming back next Sunday as well. I stopped watching about halfway through last season, and I don't know if I'm really that interested in coming back, because it looks like they're going to be keeping Negan as the son of a bitch that he has always been, whereas in the comics, after the All Out War story, Negan became a better character because he discovered his flaws and tried to become nicer and try to work with Rick and the crew. But from what I've seen so far, it's just him being, you've paid this way so I can take over type of thing. So do you think they'll have old companion crossover blips showing up with 13? That's a good question, Pinky. I don't think necessarily in the first season. I think what they want to do with the first season of the new Doctor and the new showrunner and all that is they want to make her stand on her own, and while still being connected to the Doctor Who universe in general, they sort of want to have her, be her own person, and then you can start swooping in and bringing in old villains, old companions, stuff like that, and why not? It would make sense. Yeah, I'm still all over The Walking Dead. Okay, well, that's good, Pinky. I don't know. We'll see. It's just they're changing so much with Andrew Lincoln leaving and Laurie Cohen leaving, and just it looks a lot different. Though a lot of people are saying they've seen the first couple episodes, they say that it gets back to the way the show used to be. Maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. It's not like high up on my list right now, but it's a possibility. But speaking of which, Andrew Lincoln will be coming back in season 10, but not as an actor. He will be directing an episode of The Walking Dead in season 10. So apparently they've already renewed it for season 10. So he'll be coming back and directing an episode there. Michael Cudlitz, who was on the show for a while before he got his brains beat in, he's coming back this season. He's directing an episode this season. So we'll see what happens. So good on that. And also, speaking of Walking Dead, while they were filming a sequence in season 9, they had to stop filming because the area near the area where they were filming was an armed robbery was going on. It wasn't near. It was near where they were filming, but it wasn't them. So I can't find my notes on this anyway. So it'll have to wait. But it's kind of interesting that you're filming a TV show. There it is. That you're filming a TV show about the end of the world, the apocalypse, and nobody's around, and then you have to shut it down because of an armed robber. It's kind of an interesting story idea. What did Patrick have to say? No, Jodie Whittaker is not the first female Doctor. Remember, Riversong became the Doctor briefly, and Donna partially regenerated into the Doctor. Get your canon right. I'm just going by what they were saying. All right. So, thank you for clearing that up, Patrick. What's up next? Off-duty Border Patrol agent must pay $220,000 in restitution after he accidentally started a 47,000-acre wildfire during a gender reveal party. As I said, some weird stories going on this week. So him and his wife went to um, a nice little, wooded area, whatever. Hey, why not? Let's do a cool gender reveal. It's the big thing now. Everybody shows off the gender reveal of their kids. They've got all these, elaborate ways of doing it. And the way they do it sets a fire which destroys 47,000 acres. So maybe consider cutting back a little bit on your gender reveals. I mean, it's the same thing with prom proposals. I mean, we never did that stuff when I was growing up. Our gender reveal to our parents was, hey, you're going to have a grandson. Well, to be fair, with Noelle, Dawn did not want to know what the sex was. So we had to wait until the baby was born to find out it was female. We had a feeling it was female, but we didn't know for sure until she popped out. Now, when Noah was coming, Dawn asked me what I wanted, since Dawn said she didn't want to learn. So I said, okay, that's fine. She didn't want to learn for the first one. She says, I'll let you decide for the second one. So I thought about it for a little bit. At first, I was like, hey, you know what? Let's just not reveal it again. But then I was like, I like spoilers, as it were. It's like, yes, I want to know if we have a boy or a girl. And they said, you got a boy? It's like, okay, great. We got one of each now. So that's good. So we were able to prepare that way. So it was still good either way. It was fine either way. And that was it. Our gender reveal was, you're going to have a grandson. Cool. And also, when Noelle was born, nobody knew what her gender was until I came out and said, she's doing good. Your granddaughter's doing good. So they found out that way when I told them. Yep. Speaking of which, my daughter's, her birthday's coming up in a few months. She will be the magical 12 years old, 1 year before a teenager. Yep. That was our gender reveal. You got a grandson. Your granddaughter's doing just fine. I get it. I do. My prom proposal was, hey, you want to go to prom with me? Sure. Okay. I get it. I understand you want to make it exciting and fun and different, stuff like that, and exciting, and make it feel like everything is great in the world and get everybody to celebrate, stuff like that. But sometimes you just got to not go overboard, because then you destroy 47,000 acres in a wildfire. Speaking of comics again, one of the classic comic series that, if you're fans of science, not really science fiction, more fantasy, if you're a big fan of fantasy, this is a series that's been around since 1978, since it's 40 years. Yep, 78 was when it first came out. It is wrapping up its 40-year journey. It's ElfQuest. If you've never seen ElfQuest, Richard and Wendy Pini, a married couple, created this magical world, similar in scope to your Lord of the Rings worlds and C.S. Lewis worlds and stuff like that, and created all through comics. It's gone through different comic companies. Marvel had the rights at one time, and then they had their own self-imprint. I think Image might have had it one time. Dark Horse had. DC ended up printing the last. No, Dark Horse did. Dark Horse did the last series that they did. But ElfQuest has been around for 40 years. And as I said, Kiss is doing their farewell concert. ElfQuest is retiring their fantasy comic series after 40 years. If you ever get a chance, if you like fantasy, if you like your Lord of the Rings stuff, or any type of fantasy out there, I would recommend ElfQuest. It's actually a brilliant comic, absolutely gorgeous artwork, great story, compelling bad guys, very interesting characters created for it. I got Dawn. When I worked at Diamond, Marvel had the rights to it, and they reprinted all the old stuff in digest format. And I got about 10 of them back there, and I gave them to Dawn to read, and she was hooked on them. But we haven't really caught up on the rest of it. So I might go back and take a look at my comic store, maybe get some more ElfQuest stuff to read 40 years of ElfQuest. So it ended this year. after 40 years. Sometimes, you got to know when to end your series. And it's like, we'll go out on top. And they did. So they did this, told the story they wanted to tell. It is great. It is a good story. It is gorgeous. I do not want to see a live action version of it, but you know what? An animated version of ElfQuest might not actually be too bad if they want to continue it in that aspect, or just discover it on your own. Read it in the comic book format that it came in. Lots of stories, lots of really interesting stuff. So good on that. The new Star Wars live-action TV series that Jon Favreau is producing is going to start filming next week. So I'm trying to remember, is that going to be on Disney's streaming service? I'm not exactly 100% certain where it's coming out, but it's going to be about the Mandalorians, who is what Boba Fett is. So it's going to be a TV show about that race, but it is going to be canon, and it's going to be in the Star Wars world, and Jon Favreau is producing it. I had to do this as my last story on this first page, and I still got 2 more pages to go. And it's after 10 o'clock, so it's grown-up time. So a sex doll gets mistaken for a dead body on the side of the road. Someone apparently threw their naked sex doll out their car window or dumped it on the side of the road and drove away. And people driving in cars really fast saw this and thought it was a real dead body. They called the police on it and everything. And that's, I guess, in the end, that's sort of a tribute to how realistic sex dolls are, I guess. And, look, I find it interesting. I think it's an interesting story. And that's why I mentioned it. And it's true. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Sex sells, My show hadn't been getting a lot of views, and I decided to do an episode where I was going to talk a little bit about sex, and the views basically doubled from that point on when I announced I was going to do that. So sex sells, but that's just an interesting story. Sex doll gets mistaken for a dead body. And again, that's a tribute to how realistic these companies are making sex dolls. Now, sticking with sex stuff, since I got to connect it, and I like to connect my threads here. Texas has got some crazy stuff going on, and the sex robot brothel is going to open in Houston, Texas, very shortly. So if you want to go to a sex robot brothel, head on down to Houston, Texas. People outside of Missouri are too jumpy. I guess it was Missouri then. Okay. But Houston, Texas will have the first ever sex robot brothel. So head on down there and enjoy yourself a sex robot if you want. I don't know if it's both men and women or if it's just women robots. I don't know. But Houston, Texas. Check it out. Staying in Texas, this isn't sex related. This is actually more scary horror related if you want. You remember a couple years ago, I guess it was 2016, during that that election cycle that we're not going to discuss. During that late summer, early fall period, around this time, I guess you could say 2 years ago. Actually, let's see what Patrick Smith has to say. Sex dolls and sex robot brothels. Yep, that's right, Patrick. And now we're going to talk about something else entirely. Do you remember 2 years ago, right around this time, the world was still riveted to the political stuff going on as they were entering the end game of that political presidential election. September, actually probably like August through about maybe like October, November-ish, there was a rash of videos and sightings of scary clowns. Y'all remember that a couple years ago? Everywhere you looked, people were posting videos of scary clowns who would be watching. The few videos I saw, there was one where somebody was filming out of their window and a clown was stopped across their street and just staring at them at the middle of the night. And then there was also one where somebody had put a camera on their porch and a guy dressed up as a clown came up onto the porch and like saw the camera and made threatening motions at it. And there was also another one where There was clowns, people dressed up as clowns walking through graveyards in the middle of the night, and other videos of people driving down dark roads and clowns just popping out of the woodwork and approaching them with like chainsaws and shit. Some of them obviously were staged videos, but there were some really, really weird ones there for a while. And it was a big deal. I talked about it on my show multiple times, 2 years ago. And it was only 2 years ago. And I think the main reason why all that was happening at the same time was that was around the time that the remake for It came out. Maybe it wasn't last year when all this happened. It was 2 years ago, wasn't it? The Scary Clowns? I thought it was, 2 years ago. If it was last year, I'm sorry, but you all remember that aspect. Well, in good old Texas again, you can now have a scary clown deliver donuts to a friend. So if you want to scare your friend, you have a friend who's scared of clowns, you go to Scary Clown Donut Factory, whatever it's called, and you order a dozen donuts, and you get a scary clown to deliver it to their friend at work or at their house. Let's see, picture. Patrick posted a picture. Let's see if this is what I'm looking for. Nope, 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 nope. I don't want that. I want this. Yeah, scary clowns. There's a good scary clown. Patrick posted one of those. Yep. So yeah, that's right. That's so now if you want to, absolutely. If you want to scare your friends, you can get scary clown to deliver donuts to them. So good on you, Texas. You got sex robot brothels and scary clowns delivering donuts. This should have been the name of the episode. Scary clowns and sex robot brothels. But let's talk about my title of my episode. See how I like the segue. Scientists have discovered that the Y chromosome is disappearing, which means basically men are in danger of not being around anymore. They're saying over the years, it's been decaying, so on and so forth. And you can make your own comments then. Is that why we have such horrible men now? I don't know. The fact of the matter is the Y chromosome is scientifically being proven to be degenerating, and eventually it is going to be gone entirely. When is that going to happen? Really soon, in the aspect of space and time. In 4.6 million years, the Y chromosome is going to be all but extinct, which means about 4.6 million years, women shall inherit the earth. They already have, but now it'll just be all women. But that's sort of similar to the long lines is, the sun's going to, go out eventually. Yeah, like in about 50 million years. It's a number we cannot even comprehend. But if you think about it in the idea of like a space-time type of thing, 4.6 million years is not that far away, to be honest. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I know it is. But you kind of know what I mean, what I'm saying by that? Maybe not. But yes, so men will be gone in 4.6 million years. So it's been a good run, but here's to men. The fall of man is coming in 4.6 million years. You need a break. You need to get away from it all. Need a nice little vacation. Do you love chocolate? Well, here's an idea for you. If you can swing it, there's a place in France where you can rent out a cottage made entirely of chocolate. It's a nice size cottage. I mean, it's not like a little shrinky-dink little 3D printer type of house. This is a not nice size cottage. It has a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living space, porch, but everything is made of chocolate. They have a picture of a clock that has white chocolate in it and regular chocolate in it as well. It's crafted from 1.5 tons of chocolate, which doesn't seem like a lot to make this cottage, but there it is. Hmm. Let's see if I have a picture of that too. God, I love Facebook. This is where I'm getting most of my stories anyway, and that's really the only reason why I keep I keeping Facebook, is because they come up with some of the best stories here. Oh, I got a whole lot more to tell you, but let me see if I can just find this chocolate cottage. That seems like a really neat idea. Now, up here, Hershey, Pennsylvania is not that far away. Now, they don't have a chocolate cottage, but what they do have is they have a spa. And this might be something really kind of cool to do at some time. It might not sound like it, but it actually kind of is. They have a spa where you can get you could sit in it's like at a hot, you can sit in a tub of hot melted chocolate. So it's a tub filled with, not like scalding hot chocolate, but like warm. It'd be like a warm jacuzzi type of style chocolate, but it's entirely in chocolate, and you submerge your entire body in it, and you just sit there and you waft in the smell of the chocolate and enjoy it. Geez, I posted a lot of stuff today. I didn't think it was this far back. If I can't find it, I can't find it. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. If you like the smell of chocolate, and I don't know, I guess it's strong enough that it's not going to melt in the sun. And it's from what they there it is. Okay, so they're saying that I think it's like one cottage, and it's already been rented out for years. So that's the chocolate cottage. That's what it looks like right there. And here's some of the stuff on the inside. Here's the clock. I guess it wasn't white chocolate. I thought it was, but there's the clock made out of chocolate. And here's like a shelf and stuff like that made out of chocolate also. So it's a really interesting thing. Again, I don't know if it would be something I would do. I think I'd rather, if I wanted something on my bucket list, I think I'd rather stay in one of the clear top bubble igloo type of things in Norway or Iceland, wherever it is, or Sweden or something like that, where you go there during the winter and it's a clear thing, and while you're sleeping you look up and you can see the aurora borealis. That's something I would probably rather do. The only thing I have a problem with that is that's cool, but then that morning when the sun comes up, man, you have no curtains or anything like that. It's like, it's sun time. But to fall asleep to the aurora borealis is really kind of cool. So there's that. So if you have an inkling to go to France and stay in a chocolate cottage, by all means, go for it. If you want to, though, Hershey, Pennsylvania, not that far away from people on the East Coast, obviously. If you want to make a trip up, it's real worth it. Hershey Park is fantastic. Probably the best amusement park that I know of, the cleanest, safest, most entertaining one I've been to. You can go to the Hershey Hotel. I know, silly, but they have a spa there, as I said, and you can bathe or sit in a tub of warm chocolate. So, bazinga. Cats are actually nice, a study found. Now, people who have cats pretty much know that anyway. There's always a story about them being aloof and stuff like that. And there's also probably, a basis in truth when it comes to that. But to me, my cat always wants attention from me. And yes, it's not all the time, but there'll be lots of time, and she doesn't ignore me. She just curls up in her little area. She looks at me. A good example is this morning. The kids were tired, so they slept in this morning. My son is usually up about 7 a.m. So about 7:30 a.m., Dawn and I are still asleep, and apparently the kids are still asleep, because I start hearing meowing from the cat. Now, I was already kind of half awake anyway, and I can sort of know when the boy is up, because he likes to turn on the lights because he's scared of the dark. Even if it's early morning, he still thinks it's too dark in the house. So normally, I could look out into the hallway and I could see the lights were on, and they weren't on. So I was like, okay, no, it must not be up yet. So I open the door and the cat's looking up at me like, meow, meow. So I was like, okay, let's go downstairs. So I just wanted to see if Noah was downstairs just to be sure. His door was closed, so I assumed he probably wasn't, because usually when he gets up, he opens his door and he leaves it open and runs downstairs. So it was closed. So I went downstairs about 7:30 and I looked around. There's no Noah, but the cat needed somebody downstairs with her because she was scared or it wasn't normal. The study, though, the way they made the study, though, to figure this out, I'm not sure I was a big fan of it, because what they did was they took pet cats and they took cats from like shelters and stuff like that and kept them away from human contact, toys, and food for like 5 hours, 4 hours, or something like that, for a small amount of time, which is in itself kind of a awful thing. But I guess if you're trying to do, even then, it still should be right anyway. So then what they would do then is, after that time period was up, they took the cats to a room where there were people, food, and toys. And then they wanted to see where most of the cats went to. And the majority of the cats went because they wanted social interaction. So that's their scientific basis. So let's just say, what I said, there was like 10 of each. So there was like 20 of them. Let's just say there's 20 of them. 10 of them, maybe 12 of them went to humans. Another 5 went to food, and 2 went to toys. That doesn't really mean anything, but if you have a cat, most times you realize that they are actually not the lone hunter, aloof type of animals that people make them out to be. They're actually fairly to have human interaction, though it's they don't need it and they still crave it. I mean, I'll give you another good example. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen during the fall and winter, particularly more towards the winter, actually. My cat Jinx likes to come up at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning and meow incessantly outside my door and scratch at my door till I get up and take her downstairs and watch her eat and play with her a little bit. Now, this is kind of my own fault, because when she first came to us as a rescue, I wanted her to be comfortable, so I would get up in the morning sometimes and play with her, because I didn't want her to be upset or lonely or scared. So I guess she just expects that, but she only does that in the winter because the cat's not dumb. Cold air stays in the bottom, warm air rises. That's just physics. That's just whatever. So in the house, the same thing. And during the summer, you got the air conditioning on, whatever. The cold air stays. You go down to your basement, it's freezing. You head up and it's a little bit cooler, and then you get upstairs and it's not as cool. And in the winter, it's reversed, where it's freaking cold in the basement, a little bit warmer on the main level, and really, really hot up at the top. So she likes to go where the warmth is during the winter, which is upstairs, and where the cool is during the summer, which is downstairs. So she doesn't come and bother me during the summer and spring because it's too warm upstairs. But with winter coming, she's going to be back upstairs more. And that's that. We'll see. Maybe she won't do it this year, because I kind of ignored her a bunch of times because it was messing with my sleep, and I didn't like that. Everyone on a plane survives a crash landing in the Pacific Lagoon. Now, I told this story mainly because Noelle's afraid of flying, and I've been telling her stories. Yes, planes crash, things like that happen, and I understand your fear of flying. I get it. But air flight is still one of the safest ways of traveling. And this is more proof that not every crash is going to end with people dying or the plane being destroyed or being stranded in the middle of nowhere. In this case, they landed safely in a Pacific Lagoon and everyone survived. So that's always a good story to hear that. Real quick, Pat, I promise, just one little, I just have one sports ball story, which I find funny because I don't like Tom Brady. He's quarterback for the New England Patriots. His team is off to an awful 1-2 start right now. But I don't like him, but he was spotted twerking at Patriots practice yesterday, and that just is something I didn't want to hear or know about, and I find absolutely, really? Why were you twerking at your practice? Don't mistreat the cats. They are evil overlords. Jinx Lang is awesome. Yes, she is. So that's it for sports ball. I just had to bring that because I hate Tom Brady, and him twerking is just kind of stupid. My parents' basement. This is one of those ideas. There's a few of them out there which I keep thinking to myself, why didn't I come up with this? This is a comic book store / bar / video arcade in Georgia. Phone death imminent. Found the chocolate house thing you linked on your Facebook. That is so cool. All right. So Pinky's probably going to split off soon, which is fine. Thank you for watching as much as you can, Pinky. That was awesome. Thanks for hanging out. But it's a bar. It has 30 beers on tap. It has a comic book store, new comics, special covers, variant covers that only you can get from that store. There's a couple, like my store has those also. Back issues, stuff like that. They also have pinball machines and video games in this place. And this is some place that I might have to add this to my bucket list because I kind of want to see this. It's in Georgia, as I said, my parents' basement. 30 beers on tap at a comic book store, and you can play pinball and video games and read comics. Sounds awesome to me. World's first human head transplant has been carried out on a corpse with the zombies into it. World's first human head transplant has been done on a corpse in China, according to an Italian doctor. So I guess that's the best way to start, obviously, on trying to create a head transplant. I'm kind of speechless now about this. So basically, I guess if you have a brain issue or something, I guess there's a way they can remove your head but keep you alive and then put another head on you, connect the spinal cord, and get the brain started and connected to your neural network. I guess there's a way. I mean, if they've figured out a way to do it, I guess. But, obviously, it's going to, you want to test it on corpses because, they're already dead. And this way you can work on, okay, how are we going to line up the spine, and how would we, reorient the brain to a new body, that type of thing. And that gives them a chance to work on that on someone who's already dead and not dead. Now, at the same time, that's a plus. There's also a minus to that, is that, well, how do you know it works? Because they're already dead. It works because the head's on there and it's connected to the spine and stuff like that, but the person's dead. And you can't tell if the neural network is going to be connected to the body, unless there's a way, maybe there's a way that they can, connect it and they're able to like shock it or something, and you can see the hand go like that or whatever. I don't know. Regardless, the world's first human head transplant has occurred. Speaking about weird science, the first ever human-animal hybrid has also been created. And that's an even scarier thought, considering some of the stories I talked about weeks ago about farm animals and sex, but we're not going to go into that any further. If you want to know more about that, you got to go back a few episodes. Patrick was there for that show. I think you were, but you kind of remember that show, I think, that episode, I think. Or you watch it later on, something like that. But yeah, we're not going to cover that anymore. So science is weird, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Is there any other weird science stuff going on here? Nope. Space, which I'll cover in a little bit. If there is anything, I will get to it later, because I'm halfway done page 2, and we're about an hour in, which is good. Good sign. Here's a headline for you guys. Pair convicted for beating up a man who tried to steal a heroin-filled Kinder egg from a woman's vagina. Now, I try to be hip and with it. I kind of know what a Kinder egg is. It's one of these toy things, I guess, that you can either have chocolate or other stuff in it. And Tiny Doctor put head on a Chinese dead guy. Seriously missed something. The knee bone is connected to the head bone. That's right. Aren't you glad you watched my show and you hear all this crazy stuff? Let me read it. Pair convicted for beating up a man who tried to steal a heroin-filled Kinder egg from a woman's vagina. Now, I guess the Kinder eggs, I've seen them, I think, like at Target and stuff like that. It's filled with either candy or toys or some shit. And it's probably about this big, I guess. And it's like a new craze type of thing. Well, apparently there was a heroin-filled one that, the easiest way to smuggle drugs in is inside people's bodies. Some people use the butt cavity. Some people use the vagina area. In this case, a pair were convicted for beating up a man who tried to steal heroin-filled Kinder egg from a woman's vagina. Now, I don't know if it's the woman who was part of this pair who beat up the guy who was trying to steal the heroin egg from her vagina. I'm not sure if that's who it is, or if it was a entirely different woman's vagina that was getting the Kinder egg stolen from. So I'm not sure. I just had to read the headline because that's freaking weird, man. Here's another freaking weird one. Where is that? Oh, man. This is going back to sex because I love me some sex stories. Where is it? It's got to be one of my newer ones. Yes, here it is. There's two really kind of sexy stories we're talking about. A 67, that's 3 years younger than my mom. A 67-year-old dominatrix forces men to dress as maids to clean her house. You got to do what mistress tells you to do. You're into that dominatrix stuff, even if it's a 67-year-old lady, and you want to get some of that S&M type of dominatrix type of loving, you do what your mistress tells you, and that means dressing up as a maid and cleaning her house. You son of a bitch. As I said, one of the best comics I've ever read is Sunstone, which is about S&M and dominatrix, granted, two hot, sexy women, but still, it's a different. You get a different look at what S&M and dominatrix stuff is, and this is just kind of a funny secondary story with that. Speaking of kind of a sexy type of story, this one just seems a little odd. And, I'm kind of glad that I'm in a committed relationship right now because I don't even want to know what this Tinder stuff is. I mean, I know it's a dating app and stuff like that, but from what I've seen, there's lots of weird Tinder stories. Here's a good one for you. Women goes on a Tinder date in nothing but body paint that looks like clothes. Now, is Tinder supposed to be like, one of these dating sites where more than likely it's going to end up being a sexual encounter? Because to me, that just sounds really interesting. Not interesting, odd, I should say. Freud spoke, it is interesting because she was a hot woman. And she's completely naked, except I think she had, they showed a video of her getting painted and they covered up the naughty bits, but I think she had a thong on. But what's really interesting is that they had a body paint expert come in and literally create what looks like clothing on this woman. It's all body paint because she was completely naked except for her thong. And after she was done, she looked like she had a fancy shirt on, a little crop at the stomach, and like blue jeans. And the way that the artwork done, it looked realistic. But in the end, for all intents and purposes, you are completely naked almost for a date with a stranger. Now, what if it does lead to sex? Now, how does that work? Are you going to reveal that you were completely naked the whole time? Or when you take off the thong, is there going to be like in all the paint is going to be around you except for that one area where it wasn't painted on? Is the paint going to, if you're rolling around, is it going to get onto your partner or onto the bed? All kinds of questions. Never going to find out about it. So you know what? I don't care. Patrick Smith, breaking news. I love me some sex stories. Yes. No kidding. Gets me ratings, buddy. Gets me ratings. We're going to get away from the sex stories for a little bit. I don't even think I have any more. I think that's all of them. As far as I know, that's pretty much all of them. Let's talk a little movies here. Couple new trailers came out this week. The Bumblebee second trailer. Now, I talked about the first one. I absolutely loved the first Bumblebee trailer. And I loved it because I hated the Michael Bay Transformers movies. And I thought that there was so much potential, but it got Michael Bay'd. This one, this Bumblebee prequel film, whatever, looks to be exactly like what I would expect a Transformer live-action Transformer movie to be like. It brings back all the Gen 1 characters looking like they're Gen 1 characters, so you can tell who the Decepticons are and who the Autobots are. Brings John Cena in there as it looks like it might be the human bad guy, but then he's kind of helping them out when they take on the bad guys. You even get an appearance by Optimus Prime looking like his Gen 1 self and not some futuristic freaky deek thing that Michael Bay does. But this looks good. And I've actually got me excited to come see this movie in December. And the kids like it, and they want to kind of see it, and even Dawn kind of wants to see it. So the second trailer comes out, and you see more of the Gen 1 Transformers, and you're like, yes, Soundwave looks like Soundwave. It looks like there's a Shockwave in there. You get Optimus Prime as Optimus Prime. So like with the Optimus Prime voice, the actor who does the voice of Optimus Prime is doing the voice in this movie, just like he did for the Bay movies. It looks good. It looks like they nailed what a Transformer movie should be. And I'm excited to see it. Holmes and Watson. I talked about this movie a while back when they announced it. I didn't hear anything about it. And then all of a sudden, bam, we have a trailer. Will Ferrell and I want to say John. It's not John McGinley. It's John something or other who was in Step Brothers with him and Talladega Nights. John Reilly, and was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's John Reilly. They're teaming up again for Holmes and Watson, where they play Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Will Ferrell is Sherlock Holmes, and John Reilly is Dr. Watson, and they have to take on, which looks like I think it's Ralph Fiennes' Moriarty. And he is threatening to kill the Queen in 4 days, and unless they figure out where he is, stuff like that. Now, it looks like it cribs some from the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies, but it also has that comedic aspect to it as well. So I always like a good Sherlock Holmes movie. I've never been the biggest Will Ferrell fan, but this one might actually not be too bad to see. I don't think it comes out till next year. I don't think it's coming out this year. Let me see for sure if I can find out when Holmes and Watson is coming out to give you guys a general idea. I know Bumblebee's coming out around sometime in December. Holmes and Watson is, well, it says 2018. So, okay, it's supposed to be released on December 21st, right around the time as, okay, so this is here, right around the time that Bumblebee is going to be released. So if I had my choice, I'd probably still go see Bumblebee instead of this, but to have a couple of options in December, particularly around Christmas time is always fun because, you got, it's kind of a slow time. Christmas is just passed and you want to do something as a family because you've got time before school starts again in January. Go see a movie, and those would be some good ones to see. Now, this movie's been getting a little bit of flack lately, and I get it, but it's also kind of a little out there. Fantastic Beasts 2 is coming out around Thanksgiving, and the second trailer for that came out this week as well. Again, blew me away. You get to see a little bit more Jude Law's Dumbledore and a little bit more of the action and what the storyline is, a little bit more Johnny Depp's Grindelwald. Now, what's getting a lot of people upset is, first of all, the Johnny Depp being cast as Grindelwald. They don't like that because of his being arrested for abusing his wife. So they thought that was a bad casting decision, but J.K. Rowling was defending that. And now with this trailer, spoiler alert, they revealed something that should have been an Easter egg, but I guess they decided they wanted to reveal it in the trailer, which is kind of a shame. They probably should have kept it out of the trailer and brought up in the movie as sort of a wow. For those who've read Harry Potter, Lord Voldemort has a giant snake by the name of Nagini, and plays a very important role through the whole, from book 4 to the end, book 7. And Nagini, we discover, is actually not an animagus, because that's what J.K. Rowling wanted to correct it, is a woman who can transform into the snake. But it's not an animagus. Animagus can transform into animals. They can transform back out. This is something else. I don't know what she called it. It'll be mentioned in the movie. But people are freaking out about it because the woman who plays Nagini in the film is, I think, either a black woman or has dark skin featured woman actress, which on the surface is okay, awesome. They're getting a person of color to come in and play an important role in a huge fantasy film that's going to make a lot of money despite all the people complaining about certain things. So now they're complaining about the fact that now you got this woman who, we didn't know who it was when we first saw her in the trailer, but now we realize she's Nagini, who is the snake that Lord Voldemort controls. So Lord Voldemort is controlling a woman of color, even though she's in the form of a snake. They are dropping the slavery aspect onto that as well. And I think that's going a little too far on that. It's good to see a person of color getting an important role in a fantasy film. And to have her be the role of Nagini, which is a giant snake, which, to be honest, your whole thing about him being owned by Lord Voldemort and being like his slave. No, Nagini is kind of like Voldemort's pet. Nagini loves Voldemort. Voldemort loves Nagini. One of the only things that Voldemort loves, you might not even call it love, but Nagini is like his special friend, as it were. And Nagini does what she does as the snake to please her master, is what everybody's saying. I get the connotations you're trying to put on there, but I still kind of find it a little, your heart's in the right place, but it's not quite, in my opinion, right. That's my opinion. I'm still going to go see this movie. I like the original one. I'm a Harry Potter fanatic, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do. My daughter wants to see it, so I'm going to go see it. I don't see it as being a slavery type of issue. And while what Johnny Depp did is unconscionable, I really don't have any defense for that, but I still want to see him in the role of Grindelwald. All right, let's change gears up a little bit. James McAvoy wants to play a young Jean-Luc Picard in the new Picard Star Trek TV show. That's kind of a joke type of thing because he plays young Professor X, and Patrick Stewart played the older Professor X and plays the older Picard. So if they ever decide to do a flashback to when Picard is a kid or younger or whatever, James McAvoy says, hey, I'll do it. Please, I have experience being the younger version of Patrick Stewart. So I think that's a really good idea. Now, last week I talked about how there are certain movies that seem to be snake bit or always seem to have an issue with it. The Crow being the best example of that. Well, in this case, I talked about last week the movie Gambit with Channing Tatum. It's based on an X-Men character, the Cajun mutant who can charge objects and throw them. Cards are his favorite thing. He, in the comics, is now married to Rogue. They've always had a relationship going on, and now they're officially married, and they have their own comic, Mr. and Mrs. X. So the Channing Tatum Gambit movie has been on and off so long that it just seems sort of like ridiculous. Like, it's back on. It's going to start filming in October. And you're like, yeah, sure it is. And then sure enough, about a few weeks later, actually, it's been canceled. It's been moved off the schedule. And then a year or so later, hey, the Channing Tatum Gambit movie is back on. It's going to start filming in September. A few weeks later, actually, no, it isn't. Well, now in this case, again, they're saying the Gambit movie is supposed to start filming later this year, except doesn't have a director. But it has a date. They're trying to aim for, of all times. I mean, look, we're getting ready to hit October, all right? October, November, December, January, February. Look at a 4-month window. They're looking at trying to get Gambit out on February 14th, 2019, because they want to turn Gambit into a romantic comedy superhero film, which Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of did this year, which was great, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it comes out on DVD October 16th. Or something should be out on digital really soon anyway. So if you're the digital person, you go ahead and grab that. But the DVD comes out October 16th. But they're going to try to do Gambit as a romantic comedy. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. If the reason why Gambit's been having so much problems being made into a movie is because they don't have a theme or a good idea, and then to decide, you know what, why don't we try a romantic comedy? I guess if done properly, but honestly, I want to see him charge up a playing card and fling it at somebody in the Big Easy. I want to see a New Orleans style romp, action adventure romp in the style of Maverick, which is a great film from 1994 with Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster and James Garner, and James Coburn actually as well. And I want to kind of have that sort of feel to it, an action romantic comedy. They can do something like a Maverick for Gambit. That might actually work out. I'll direct Gambit if you want me to. That might be a good idea. Maybe that can be my vision. You want to do like a romantic comedy? We'll make it like Maverick. We'll do some action adventure, some romance, some fun stuff like that. In the Big Easy, we'll film it in New Orleans. Why not? Sign me up. I'll do it in a second. You need a director? Come see me, man. Hellboy. James Harbour from Stranger Things is doing a reboot of the Hellboy film franchise. I'm actually okay with it because while I like Ron Perlman's portrayal of Hellboy, and I like the fact that they were able to get 2 Hellboy movies made and released in theaters, and they did pretty successfully, it was not really the Hellboy that I wanted to see, to really be honest. I wanted to see more of a hard ghost hunting, creepy creature, Mike Mignola-esque type of horror type film. And it looks like this new version of Hellboy is going to be more along the lines of what I was looking for. Now, James Harbour from Stranger Things has portrayed Hellboy, and they showed a picture of him in Hellboy makeup, and my God, he looks awesome. So I'm not worried about that. But I was starting to wonder, like, why haven't we seen a trailer yet? Because they stopped filming that for a while, because he's been filming Stranger Things now for months. So they stopped filming Hellboy a while ago. So why did they have a trailer? Because it's supposed to come out in January. Well, now we know why. Because they moved it to April. Now, again, that's not a bad thing. Because January has been notoriously is a dumping ground for films. It is also the month where films that wanted to get Oscar consideration, they need to be in a movie theater before the end of the year. And so they play a bunch of these Oscar contenders in New York and LA, maybe even Chicago somewhat. So it gets a limited run in December. and then it gets a wider release in January. So that way it's nominated for the Academy Award. It got within 2018. So it can be used as a nomination for the 2018 Academy Awards. Then that way they can release the films worldwide at a staggered pace to see if it gets any nominations. And you will see a bump if a movie gets a nomination. People who are like, oh, what is this film? And they hear, oh, it got 5 nominations. Okay, we better go see it. They'll go see it. They'll get a bump. So I understand that. So that's what January really is about. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, some movies have done pretty well in January. But having moved now to April is actually a really good sign, because April is right before May. It's on that little precipice where you're getting some big time movies in April and March and February, and they're making lots of money. You can prove you can make big money if the story's good and you get the people any time of the year. So to move it to April is a really good idea. So what does Patrick say? Maverick for Gambit. Dylan's going to direct this movie. I am. I would do it in a second. So I think it's a good idea. Moving it to April will give it a bit more exposure, and get it away from the dead zone that is the depressing end of the Christmas season, the beginning of a cold, hard New Year, that type of thing. So now you're like, okay, it'll be really cool. This is a terrible thing to say because I'm a Christian. Easter's late this year. I think it's like the 16th or something like that of April. They released it on Good Friday. Just think about that. Wouldn't that be awesome? Hellboy released on Good Friday. I think that's a good idea. Maybe that's what they're going to do. I think that'd be a great idea, to be honest. But what do I know? And then also they're moving Dark Phoenix again, which is a new X-Men movie. James McAvoy just talked about him. It's the next one in the new X-Men series of stuff with Jennifer Lawrence and all them. Dark Phoenix is now being moved. It was originally supposed to be out in February. It's supposed to be on February 14th, but they moved it now to June, which is a good sign for that, because now it shows that the company has good faith that it can run with the big dogs during the summer movie season and not dump it off in a February zone. Again, I can probably put Gambit in and get it in time for February 14th. If you call me like tomorrow or even Monday, I'll give you to October 1st. If you call me tomorrow or October 1st, I will guarantee you I get that movie in movie theaters by February 14th, 2019. It's a guarantee. Anyway, and when I read the reason why, the main reason why they think it's going to happen is because we saw the response to it. When Captain Marvel's trailer came out a couple weeks ago, it broke all kinds of records on YouTube and viewing and stuff like that. When Dark Phoenix's came out, it barely registered. I mean, 8 million is still a lot, but it's not the 64 million or whatever it was that saw Captain Marvel. So it got people thinking, ooh, and a lot of people aren't interested in the style of the X-Men anymore. But then they noticed that China, their viewings of it were way up there. So it's like, you know what? If we can release it in June, we might get the good China money, you know? I know it sounds racist. It isn't. But I know it sounds racist, but I know it isn't. But that's what they're thinking, because China is a really good April is just before May. Yes, it is. You love doing that, don't you, Patrick? That's what they're saying, that a lot of it is that, you know, the reason why they moved it was because it can get the Chinese money, because, you know, worldwide box office is better than domestic. So if your film only makes, say, $100 million domestically, and it was expected to make like the $250, $300 million range, it's considered a flop. But if you add in the foreign box office, it turns it from a flop to a massive hit. And that's what they're aiming for. So it should be interesting. And plus, there's all the rumors like, well, now that, you know, the whole, you know, Fox and Disney thing has been taken over, and they just finished reshoots on Avengers Infinity War 4, and they moved X-Men Dark Phoenix to June. Maybe they're going to do some sort of connection between the movies. And it's like, no, they're not. They're not going to do that. Would it be neat to see that? Absolutely would be, but they're not going to do that because they don't know what they're going to do with the X-Men yet. As I said last week, Kevin Feige, who ran the Marvel movies, is now going to be put in charge of the X-Men movies and try to work his magic again like he did with the Avengers groups of film. So we'll see. Any other movie things I can talk about before we get into some science? Let's talk about disgusting food. Here we go. 2 bits of disgusting food. First one is macaroni and cheese candy canes. That's right, macaroni and cheese flavored candy canes. They're in the shape of your typical candy cane, except they're yellow and they taste like macaroni and cheese. No, thank you. I think that's bad. How about this? Burger King Whopper ice cream rolls. I saw them, how they made this. They get like an ice cream, almost looks like a burrito tortilla thing, but it's made of ice cream. And you put a Whopper in it, and you dice it, chop and dice it up, and you make sort of like a ice cream burrito. So you're biting into ice cream, and the interior is a Burger King Whopper. No. No. That is a negative, Ghost Rider. And mac and cheese candy canes? Really? Ugh. Disgusting. I've never heard of this person. Must be a popular type of personality, but Lil Xan, some guy, was just released from the hospital after he overdosed on hot Cheetos. I guess hot Cheetos are the new extraordinarily hot Cheeto product. And I've discussed it before on my other shows. I don't quite grasp why people want to eat food that is so hot that you get no taste. But regardless, he ate way too much of these hot Cheetos and was hospitalized. And so he's been released from the hospital after overdosing on hot Cheetos. Arby's by Sonic. I love Arby's. Everybody knows I love Arby's who's watched the show before. They now own Sonic. I don't know what that means. I don't think it means anything. They'll probably run Sonic as they've always run Sonic. It just means the money will be going to Arby's people and not people who own Sonic. So there you go. Dunkin' Donuts is changing their name to just Dunkin'. I guess because more people now are going to Dunkin' for coffee and not donuts. I still like their donuts, and I'm still going to go get their donuts. And they're still going to make donuts, but they're just going to call themselves Dunkin'. I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I work with somebody at my job who has a part-time job at Dunkin' Donuts, and she just calls it Dunkin'. So she knows what it's about. This one might be good for those people. I've never had Nutella before. And I'm not sure how good it is, but I mean, if you guys like Nutella, that's awesome. It's like a hazelnut spread. Well, they now have, it's not called Nutella, but it's called hazelnut spread M&Ms. So if you like your Nutella, they now have it like in M&M form. So excellent job with M&Ms. I just saw this sort of animal thing. What the hell did I write there? Oh, I know what that is. Okay. Bear tries to use a cat door to enter a house. It has this picture. It's like the bear's snout and his eyes are in the cat door, and that's as far as it can get because it's so freaking big. So that's kind of funny. Speaking of animals, this is another great headline. A seal slapped a kayaker in the face with a giant octopus. Now, when I read this headline to my daughter, she was like, what? What's going on? How is it all about? There's pictures and video of it. And Dawn, being the smart, sexy woman she is, she came up with, not came with it, she said, the reason why is seals like to play with their food, basically. And he had just happened to grab the octopus, which he's going to eat. And so he was surfacing, had it in his mouth, didn't know the kayaker was there, and just it flung the octopus. It just so happened the kayaker was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It smack hit him in the face. And they got video of it. So it's on, again, it's on somewhere on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever. You can find that as well. Grandmother finds a 2.63 carat diamond in an Arkansas state park. Now these things, this is a huge ass diamond. 2.63 carats looked to be about the size of a stone. And they found it's pure diamond in an Arkansas state park. Now that's probably going to be worth a pretty penny. So it's interesting to figure out what was it doing in the state park in the first place, how to get there, and why didn't anybody else find it before this woman did. So who knows, to be continued. Scientists have converted carbon dioxide into clean air, which also produces energy. So that's something, a way to create more clean air, clean energy, and less pollution. So they're still working on trying to save the environment, even though most people say, it's a done deal, we're done for, so why don't we just take advantage of it and make lots and lots of money. You know who I'm talking about. Super strong magnet literally blows the doors off of a science lab. I think it was in Tokyo, a Tokyo lab. They created such a strong magnetic pulse or whatever. It literally blew the doors off of it. Just went poof, and the doors come flying off once it shut out its pulse. So that's an interesting development. Maybe eventually that might be turned into a weapon. Hopefully not. If not, maybe it could be a way to maybe destroy any life-threatening asteroids or comets heading our way. Which reminds me, the brightest comet of the year is going to light up the sky in December. So if you're into the sky gazing like I like to do every once in a while, we'll hear more about it in December, but there's going to be a bright comet in the sky. I might be able to see it. So if it's around Christmas time, hey, that's awesome. So we're done page 2 here. Just make sure I hit all the stories. Yep. Oh, I didn't. One more story on this page. I think I can do this. It doesn't seem that hard. And I don't think they're going to put the top on you all the time. But Six Flags, because Halloween's coming up, they have Halloween Scare Fest at all these different amusement parks, stuff like that. Well, Six Flags has one. It's like Scare Fest or Fright Fest or something like that. I remember when I worked at the radio station, we did a couple weekends where we went there and were there for from 6 to 9 or something like that. And we did a Halloween costume contest and gave away stuff while everybody was around. We were outside a lot in the middle of October celebrating Halloween with everybody. But Six Flags is going to be doing this competition for their Fright Fest that begins really soon. They will give you a season pass if you stay in a coffin for 30 hours. Now, they will bring you food. They will let you have 2 bathroom breaks during the day, and you can have a friend with you for a few hours, but not during the night. One of the bits is, it's 24 hours, so obviously you're going to have some aspect of night in there. So I'm wondering if they're going to actually maybe put the top of the coffin on top of you during the night aspect of it, so you sleep in the coffin. And then during the day, you just have to sort of stay in the coffin and just lay there. And people either look at you or your friends can hang out with you or whatever. I think I can do it. It doesn't seem too hard. I mean, it's not like they're burying you in the ground, but you're going to be in a coffin. And more than likely, they will probably close the lid at nighttime. I'm sure there's going to be, ways for you to breathe, obviously, but a lot of people, I can understand maybe who might not want to do it because of claustrophobia or whatever, or just the thought of, I'm in a coffin, I'm going to die, or I am dead, or something like that. It's going to freak people out. So that's why they're trying to do this. So I think I could do it, but I really don't have 30 hours straight that I can utilize and use for that. I'm going to drop these 2 stories real quick, and I'll finish this half page, then we'll just have this, and then we'll be done. And that's actually going to be timed out perfectly, I think. This is is a great story that I just saw literally only a couple of hours ago before I started the show. Another sports ball story there, Patrick, but this one's a funny one, though. New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox are big rivals. And right now, particularly, they're in the middle of a pennant race. The Red Sox, I think, are going to clinch the division, but the Yankees are close behind. They're going to play each other in the playoffs eventually. Anyway, they're playing their last series of the year against each other in Fenway Park, which is in Boston. Now, Fenway is one of the oldest stadiums in the United States, and it's also one of the most famous ones. It has a giant green wall, which they call the Green Monster. Now, they used to not have people sitting up there, but Fenway is a really small stadium, and people were packing it every night, and they wanted to get more people in to see Red Sox games. So they've added more seats over the years. Now, they've added seats on top of this Green Monster. Now, I think it was last night's game or today's game or something like that. I think it was last night's game. Giancarlo Stanton, who was the New York Yankees' big free agent pickup this year, because he can hit home runs, hit a home run in the game last night in Boston at the Green Wall, and it landed in the seats over there. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but if an opponent hits a home run in your home stadium, you can throw it back. It's like, yeah, I don't want this. People want free baseballs when they go to baseball games. They want to catch a foul ball or home run ball, whatever. They prefer it to be one of the home teams, but some people will still keep it because it's like almost impossible to catch a fly ball or a foul ball or a home run at a stadium because you don't know where it's going to get hit ever. So you have an idea where they can hit it, but that might not be any big hits in that night you were there at the game. So it's almost impossible to get. So a lot of times people are going to keep the ball because, hey, we're never going to see this again. I actually got a ball that was used in the game, and they're not going to do it. But a lot of times, to show their disdain for their opponents, if an opponent hits a home run in their home stadium, the fan will throw the ball back. Now, normally it just means, people are saying, throw it back, and they drop it into the outfield, and the outfielder picks it up and throws it back home, and that's the end of the story. This is a different story. This dude threw it from the outfield where he was seated into the infield while Giancarlo Stanton was still rounding the bases, and the ball hit Giancarlo Stanton. That is an incredible thing, that a dude was able to throw a ball from the outfield seats all the way back in the infield and just happened to hit the guy who hit the home run. It's an amazing video, and it's something that you've never seen in baseball ever, and probably never will again. Okay, that's pretty good. Patrick writes, our local Scarowinds will give you a free pass to Carowinds, which I guess is their scary Halloween theme thing, if you donate blood during October. That's actually not a bad idea, actually. So that's good. Absolutely great idea. I don't play Fortnite. My kids don't play Fortnite, but I've have a Fortnite segment in like every episode that I do in this show, because there's always something interesting about the game, because it's constantly changing, and it changes for everybody who plays the game, and that makes it kind of intriguing. In this case, whatever this is, Loot Lake is moving. Now, if you play Fortnite, it's kind of a big deal, I guess, because everyone who plays Fortnite in the whole world is experiencing this Loot Lake moving. And again, the developers apparently of the game are constantly fixing and messing around with their game to make it more interesting. And so I like to bring that up, because it's kind of interesting that you have a developer who is so in tune and so interested in his game that he likes to make changes which screws up people and leads to something bigger, and it makes it seem like a real life sort of story going on. It's kind of cool. We all love Tom Hanks. He is considered to be one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, and is considered to be, everything you see about him and hear about him is true. He is one of the nicest guys, according to everybody who knows him. Well, I mentioned this on my show a while back. He has been cast in a biopic of Mr. Rogers. And they showed, he apparently is starting to film the biopic now. They showed the first picture from the set with Tom Hanks dressed up as Mr. Rogers. And it's still Tom Hanks. You can tell it's Tom Hanks, but he's got the same color hair and the short hair that Mr. Rogers has. He's got the red cardigan sweater on and the same outfit on, and he's outside now, a representation of Mr. Rogers' set. So to me, Tom Hanks is so distinct, Mr. Rogers so distinct, that you're going to know that it's Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers. But in the end, they're both some of the best people in the world, and it'd be nice to see that movie. And I think that might be a fun movie to see when that comes out, I believe probably next year. Nessie was spotted on Google Earth. Everybody knows I like Bigfoots and UFOs and stuff like that. Well, a woman decided that some of the pictures, a lot of the pictures that people have taken of Nessie, the Loch Ness monster, have been out of focus or bad. And she's always like, I'm sure there's probably some better pictures somewhere. So she did some Google Earth, and she was looking through a bunch of pictures from the Loch Ness area when she stumbled upon one picture of a bizarre, shadowy head type of thing popping up out of Loch Ness. And she thinks that it is Nessie. And she thinks it enough that she sent it to like the Loch Ness Monster Investigation Group, the official one, and they actually posted it as a potential sighting of Nessie on their website or whatever. So congrats to her. That's good. The North Carolina wild horses are fine after the hurricane. A lot of people were worried about how the wild horses would react to the hurricane, but they came back and they all seem to be fine. I talked about a bear trying to use a cat door to enter a house. Well, we also discovered that bears like to share their apples with wild foxes. There's some pictures of bears giving apples to foxes for them to eat as well. So that's fun. I talked about the big dust storm that hit Mars. It was a full planet dust storm that they get every once in a while and has caused both rovers on Mars to kind of lose contact with NASA right now. Well, apparently Earth and Mars are not the only places now that have dust storms. Titan, which is another very interesting moon of Saturn, has been discovered to also have dust storms as well. So that's always kind of intriguing type of thing. Sticking with space, a second Earth has been discovered, apparently. What that means is a exoplanet has been discovered, which is in the habitable zone of its star, like the Earth is. If the Earth is 93 million miles away from our sun. And that is the habitable zone. It's like the 92 to like 94 million mile zone is, that distance from your star is the habitable zone. They're saying that because Earth has created life and has all kinds of stuff on it, and we're in that zone, that they were looking for any planets that were kind of in that zone as well, and they haven't found any until now. They found one on a nearby star that is in, I think it's like 94 million miles away, but it's within the habitable zone. The only difference, and I wonder if this is going to play a big deal about it, is our sun is a yellow star. This is a red dwarf star, so it's on the verge of dying. It's only got a few more million. It's got probably about the same amount of time left as man does. About 4.6 million years probably. It doesn't have that long to go left, but it's a lot weaker than our sun. So it got me thinking, is like, okay, we might be in the habitable zone, 93, 94 million miles away, but our sun is huge, it's bright, and it's strong. The red dwarfs are not as strong, not as bright, and not as big. So is it actually going to be enough to warm the planet up to create a second Earth like they're thinking it is? Right now, they're just looking at the fact that it is within the habitable zone of a star, and they will look at that other aspects of it in a little bit. So we will have that one to be continued as well. Where's the other one? Oh, the Japanese, they landed a rover on an asteroid, And they have also, I thought I had this written down somewhere. They have also built, yeah, there it is, has launched a miniature space elevator, which is like the newest thing where it's somehow going to be able to, instead of having to rocket up to a satellite circling the Earth or a space station circling the Earth, they'll be able to take an elevator which will be connected from the space station down to the Earth. Now, apparently, they've released some sort of miniature elevator to attempt that, to see if it's feasible and how it's feasible and how it would be done. So the Japanese are starting to get into space stuff. I mean, they got the rovers on the asteroid, and it's really funny. The pictures are showing look like an anime film. You know, it's like it's like arrowed in pictures, and it looks like it's moving real fast, and it's like boom. So the fact that the Japanese are involved in this is something that it's like, I hate to say it, but it's about time. They have the best technology, and they will probably be able to advance our discovery of more space stuff quicker than we have been able to. So to be continued, Japan is starting to make a play in the space race, which is great. A 400-year-old ship wreck has been discovered off the coast of Portugal. And a massive ancient building has been discovered in Egypt. And I think there's one other, maybe not. So archaeology is starting to discover a lot of crazy things now. And that's cool because you're starting to see a lot of, ancient history and stuff like that being brought back into light, stuff like that. And it's always good to discover new stuff like that. I will continue to do those types of stories. I think those are awesome. Mario Kart, which is one of the greatest video games of all time, where you play a myriad of Mario brother characters, Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, whatever, and you ride around in go-karts and bump into each other and throw stuff at your enemies and try to blow them up or do stuff to them while you race to a finish line, is now going to be a live version of it in Los Angeles next year. So that should be interesting to see. Obviously, you can't have bombs being thrown at people behind you or oil slicks that could make cars wreck because, video games, you can die and you come back to life. But in real life, if you die, you're dead. Sorry. Some Pokemon Go stuff. Beldum has been chosen as the October Community Day Pokemon. That's going to be on October 21st, Sunday. A lot of people have been wanting that one, so I guess apparently it's a good one. And last week I told you about this bizarre Pokemon that was discovered during Community Day last weekend. Well, it is actually a new Gen 8 Pokemon. Gen 8 will have its first appearance in the new video games from the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon video games from the Switch. This character's name is Melton, and he is a steel type whose body absorbs electricity and can shoot it back out through its eye, and is also a kind of a malleable type of thing, so it can shift and turn. Yep. Yes, our New York and North Carolina wild horses got mentioned on my show, and they are safe and good. Yep. So congratulations on them. I'm glad they're safe because I've never seen them, but I know people who have, and it's always good to have wild horses drag you away, stuff like that. No, that's a line from a song. It's a joke. I'm glad the wild horses are okay. Preserve your tattoos to be given to your family after your death. There's a new company now that after you die, they will cut off your tattoos and put them like on a display thing, and you can display the tattoos on your wall. So if, say, your brother dies and he had all these tattoos, and they decide that you want his tattoos to remember him, they will cut off the tattoos from the skin and put it in like a picture display, and you can hang it up on your walls to remember your brother's tattoos. Okay. Moving on. Firefighting shotgun has been invented, which is supposed to help put out fires quicker. It looks like a shotgun, and it shoots out a a much more powerful burst of fire deterrent, retardant, whatever you want to call it. And it'll be easier. It comes out in bigger puffs. So instead of grabbing for the fire thing and going shh, don't have a steady stream, you drop one big boom, and it splatters all over and takes out the fire quickly. So anything to make your firemen be safer is perfectly fine with me. For all you spider people out there who love your spiders, or for those people who absolutely hate spiders, you're going to hate this story. A group of spiders has spun a web that covers over 1,000 feet, apparently for a spider party. So a 1,000-foot spider web is a real thing now. And finally, let's make sure I'm not missing any stories here. Oh, I got one more story I missed here. I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. The original iteration, I loved it. I haven't seen the new one yet, even though I love Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt. I might need to start watching that. It's on Netflix now, and it was done by online fans who wanted to build up, so you paid money to get it done. Anyway, I've always liked Mystery Science Theater 3000, and before I met Dawn, Thanksgiving at my mom's house when I lived there, we didn't really have a lot of people over, so it was kind of just sort of a chill day. I would always watch Mystery Science Theater 3000 on Sci-Fi Channel because they always did a marathon, Turkey Day, turkey movie type things. And that got me into Mystery Science Theater 3000 because I watched the marathons over the whole pretty much day of Thanksgiving because there's nothing else to do on Thanksgiving. I hung out with my mom a little bit, but there really isn't much when we didn't have a lot of family over. So this new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000 came out a couple years ago, or last year, something like that. Well, the new season is due to come out this year, and Sci-Fi has decided to, let's bring back some memories. They're going to release all episodes of the new season on Thanksgiving this year. So you can have your very own Turkey Day, turkey movie marathon. So good on that. Speaking of bad movies, this might be the last episode of Dylan Knows on Saturday nights for the month of October. We'll see. But probably going to be because, first of all, I like watching my Ravens on Sunday. So I'd have to figure out another time to do it. But Saturday night, starting next Saturday, the 6th of October, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, Sci-Fi Channel is going to do Halloween sci-fi bad movies the whole month of October. There's 5 Saturdays, I believe. So you'll be able to see 5 of these movies. And it's always fun to gather with the Snarkalics like Patrick or Pinky or Scott's or the Scotts or all that. And, snark these movies. So starting on Saturday, next Saturday, there's going to be a Halloween sci-fi movie on every Saturday night at 9 o'clock. So I might stop doing my show on Saturdays at 9 o'clock so we can snark that. And then Dylan Knows will go back to its Sunday afternoon time slot, though I'm not excited about that because my Ravens are playing. I want to watch them instead of doing the show. But we'll see. I'll work it out. It's my show. I'll figure it out. So there's that. So come join us next Saturday for a live snark fest on the sci-fi movie. I forget what the movie is, but I read the descriptions of the movies a couple weeks ago. They actually sound like they're going to be some pretty interesting ones this year, so we'll check that out. Finally, let's just double check and make sure that I didn't miss any articles. I don't think I did. I think I got everything I need. We'll do my Check Day holidays, my this week, what came out this week and movie-wise years ago, and we'll do the holidays, and then we'll get out of here. The last story of Dylan Knows before I get to all that for this week is man decides to pee on Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park and gets ticketed for it. So some old dude runs up to Old Faithful, pisses on it, and apparently from what the witnesses said, started rolling around the exterior of it. Now, Old Faithful is Old Faithful because it tends to erupt on a regular basis. But you also got to consider this as well. It's also very dangerous because the water that's being ejected from Old Faithful is like way beyond hot. I mean, it's like it's from the Earth's core. shooting back up. So we're talking 300, 400, 500-degree weather, which will burn you silly. That's why when you go see Old Faithful, you're far enough back that it'll shoot up and it won't even affect you. So you just have to be careful about that. But this dude was really close to it, and he pissed on it. Why would you piss on Old Faithful? It doesn't make any sense. So the Rangers got him before anything happened to him and got him out there, and they ticketed him and charged him and stuff, and hopefully they threw him out. But we'll see. But that's just insane. And what better story to end this week's episode of Insanity on Dylan Knows is with the story about a dude wanting to piss on Old Faithful. This week, what do we got? Princess Bride is 31 years old this week. Came out this week, 31 years ago. There's a great book written by Cary Elwes, who played Wesley in that movie, a behind-the-scenes memoir of The Princess Bride. It is a fantastic book. If you're a fan of the movie, definitely you should check out the book written by Cary Elwes. Pokemon Red and Blue debuted 20 years ago on the Game Boy. Pokemon started off as a video game and still kind of a video game, and it's an anime and stuff like that. So that was out 20 years ago. Zoolander came out 17 years ago this week, which it's a entertaining movie. It's funny, but it has the distinction of being the first post 9/11 movie. It came out this week in 2001. So it came out about 2 weeks after 9/11. Now, they had a scene that was, because obviously it was filmed before 9/11, that had the World Trade Center buildings in it. So it was kind of heart-wrenching for the people who saw that. But it was the first movie to come out after 9/11 because they didn't release any movies for a couple of weeks, and this is the first one that came out. It made good money and enough so they made a sequel, and it's actually pretty funny and entertaining, but it will always have the distinction of being the first movie to come out after 9/11. 23 years ago, Halloween 6 came out, which had a very young Paul Rudd in it, but also had an intriguing Patrick Smith. Sorry, that was me peeing on Old Faithful. Had an intriguing idea, but it became too gruesome of a Halloween thing, because the Halloween movies are not supposed to be gruesome Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw Massacre gore fest. That's those movies. This was more of an atmospheric type of, scary film. Now, the one that's coming out later this month is like a combination, kind of the scariness, but there's going to be a little bit more gore in it. I'm still going to probably see it because I like the Halloween series. But Halloween 6 was one of those weird ones. It had a really, really, really young Paul Rudd, and I think he went by the name of Paul Anthony Rudd was the name he used in the credits. And the theory had, the movie idea is an interesting one, and I've actually sort of co-opted for my Halloween movie ideas. See, I'm full of movie ideas. After I make my Gambit film, I can make my ultimate Halloween movie, which is going to use some really cool aspects of this movie, but without the gore. This one has a secret society that has been kind of controlling Michael Myers, considering what's been going on in the sky. When the sky is a certain way, that's when the murders occur. So back in 78, when the first murders occurred, the sky was the way it was. And then when he came back 15 years later or whatever, 10 years later, the sky was the same way again. And now here he is again. The sky is the same again, and they bring him back out. And that's really kind of the premise of it. And it's kind of an interesting premise, but it was just way too gory for me. And it still was a way out there premise and is no longer even canon anymore. So let's finish on that. Shawshank Redemption came out 24 years ago. One of those great films that sneaks up on you when you first thought about it. I was like, I don't want to see a film about jail, and even though it has Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, I don't care. It looks boring as hell. It's a damn good movie. And if you haven't seen Shawshank Redemption because you think it's boring, do yourself a favor, go see it. You might actually like it. Boy Meets World came out 25 years ago. Wow. That was a great TV show. I was on during the TGIF ABC time. A Different World the spinoff of The Cosby Show, which featured Lisa Bonet for one season, then she left, and then it focused on Jasmine Guy and Kadeem Hardison. Actually, also, I remembered that the first season of A Different World also had Marissa Tomei in it. Still looking hot. That was 31 years ago. But then after the first season, after Lisa Bonet left, they decided to turn A Different World into taking place at an all-black college, which is fine, which is it's a great idea. It was never done before. And the show continued without Lisa Bonet for many years to come. And Jasmine Guy and Kadeem Hardison became, the big things. Big Bang Theory is 11 years old, came out 11 years ago this week. Silver Spoons, one of my favorite shows growing up, is 36 years old. Oh my God. That came out 36 years ago. Silver Spoons with the young Alfonso Ribeiro was you wanted to be Ricky Schroeder. His dad was a toy maker, was rich, lived in a mansion. Aaron Gray, who's in Baltimore Comic-Con, played the love interest of his dad. And the dad was a man-child. He had video games, arcade games, which during the mid-'80s was huge. He had a giant train that people could ride in that would take him through the house, his yard and garden, all that, and would take him through a trip all around that. And it was just, a father and son bonding. I think the premise was his son was at military school and he left and was put into public school or something like that. And he had to get used to that type of thing again. So that's going on. Knight Rider is also 36 years ago. Star Trek Enterprise came out 17 years ago. It was the last of the Star Trek series until Discovery came out. The Brady Bunch was 49 years ago. Holy cow. That was a long time ago. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the TGIF version, came out 22 years ago. That's still one of my favorite shows as well. And they're doing the new Sabrina Netflix series. It's going to be more horror-oriented at the end of October, so that'll be good. Necessary Roughness, a great college football movie with Scott Bakula and Sinbad, and Kathy Ireland as the field goal kicker, and Robert Loggia's in that as well. Came out, and so is the actor who always works with Gary Marshall. Hector Elizondo is in it also. Great college. There's a bunch of really good college football movies. This one is a pretty good one. Again, your typical, outcasts, losers, play better than you think they do. Crocodile Dundee, that ain't a knife. This is a knife, which brought about the whole Australian craze. Came out in 1986, 32 years ago as well. Finally, Aquaman was created 77 years ago. He's got a new movie coming out in October or November. I think it's this year. I think it's this month, actually. It might be November. I don't remember. I think I lost Patrick. That's okay. Thank you for watching anyway. And thanks to everybody who watched. I had 5 viewers at one time, so thank you all for watching. So finally, my last event here is my Check Eye Day. There's some really cool stuff that came out, particularly today. And then I'm going to go back a few bits because there was a day I forgot totally about, was this week as well. So September 29th, which is today, is Broadway Musicals Day, Confucius Day, Family Health and Fitness Day, Goose Day, International Lace Day, Michaelmas, National Attend Your Grandchild's Birthday Day. This is the big one. Today is National Coffee Day. National Ghost Hunting Day is today also. National Mocha Day, National Museum Day, National Poison Blackberries Day is today. Save Your Photos Day is today. VFW Day is today. World Heart Day is today. Yesterday, the 28th, was Ask a Stupid Question Day, Fish Tank Floor Show Night, Hug a Vegetarian Day, International Right to Know Day, Love Note Day, National Brave Day, National Drink Beer Day was yesterday, National Good Neighbor Day, National Strawberry Cream Pie Day, Read a Child a Book You Like Day was on the 28th, Save the Koala Day was the 28th, Silver Lining Day, World Rabies Day. The 27th was Ancestor Appreciation Day, National Chocolate Milk Day, National Corned Beef Hash Day, National Crush a Can Day, National Gay Men's HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, Native American Women's Equal Pay Day, World Maritime Day, World Tourism Day, And then I'm going to skip the 26th because the 25th, I'm just going to tell you one about the 25th. Let me see if I can find it. Be sure it is the 25th. Was National Comic Book Day. So I was very happy about that. So that's all the stuff that came out this week, holiday-wise. Tomorrow, they usually have tomorrow's posted, but they don't right now. So we'll do tomorrow's. Tomorrow is Chewing Gum Day. Gold Star Mother's Day, International Blasphemy Rights Day, International Podcast Day is tomorrow. This is kind of a podcast, so I'll be able to post this tomorrow on National Podcast Day. International Translation Day, National Hot Mulled Cider Day, National Love People Day, National Mud Pack Day, National Preparathon Day. The time the time for yoga is today, or tomorrow rather, I should say. World Deaf Day is tomorrow. World Rivers Day is tomorrow, and that's it for tomorrow. So that's my show. Thank you all for watching. Pinky and Patrick for interacting with me, and Lorelei. Looks like you were in there for a little bit as well. Maybe even Holly was. I'm not sure, but I had 5 viewers at one time. Thank you very much. Let's keep that up. Next week we enter October. More stories. But we don't know when the show will be yet because it all depends. But yes, next Saturday is the beginning of Halloween movies on Sci-Fi. So I'll be snarking that, but I'll still be around. So you'll see it. I'll do plenty of advance warning for you guys so you can watch the show. So thanks for watching. I'm getting tired and it's time for me to go. Thanks for watching again. Take care. Tomorrow, International Podcast Day. Boom. And it's the end of September. Happy end of third quarter, fourth quarter coming up.